Welcome to Leadership Unscripted, where I'm going to spin a wheel and one of 300 topics, random topics, are going to come up, which I've never seen before. So let me bring up the wheel. Explain why some teams trust each other and others don't. That's a massive topic, isn't it? Why some teams trust each other and others don't. There's so much in this. I think psychological safety is huge. Actually, let me start at the macro. So I think, first of all, I've worked with many teams, in fact, 3,000 plus teams. And there is a relationship between the clarity of the strategy and then the operational plan and then the day to day. So if teams aren't clear about where they're heading, why they're heading there, who's doing what, so that single point of accountability, then that can create a system or the conditions that then create a situation where team members struggle to build high levels of trust because they're not clear, they're crossing over each other, they're failing to collaborate, they move into silos and therefore become a little bit like islands rather than working together. And I think if you haven't got the macro environment right, then that becomes really problematic. Unfortunately, we often just look at teams or individuals and say, just build trust. And so if we just have an individual lens, then we're missing a massive piece of the context. And so we need the individual, the team, the collective, and the system in order to be able to create a condition where people can actually thrive, can trust each other. I've told this story many times, but I was giving a keynote, not really a keynote, half-day workshop on influencing without authority to the Executive Connection, a bunch of executives and CEOs. And I was talking about systems and rather than having a personal lens, how do we think about the role and in system and the patterns of relationship? And I said, that's critical. And often, we don't think about that. It's the role coming into conflict, not the individuals. And a guy at the back made some expletive and said, we've just sacked our marketing and sales directors because we couldn't get them to work together. And there's this constant kind of conflict. I said, yeah. And we've just hired new marketing and sales directors and the same thing's happening. I said, there you go. Case in point. It's not about the individuals. We need to look at the system first and the individual second. What we do most of the time is look at the individual and blame them and say, hey, you guys just need to get on or what have you, and therefore just fix it. And so trust is multi-dimensional. And I think so the macro, thinking about strategy, structure, process, role clarity, accountabilities, etc., which is all the technical work that actually does need to be done. And then we need to build strong relationships and be vulnerable and build psychological safety. So it's multi-layered and multi-dimensional. All right, my time's up. That's it. Leadership Unscripted. Thanks. I'll see you next time.